This video, I'm going to show you how and what grits to use to remove paint, fill and sand body filler, and to feather edge it to get it ready for prime and block. So SunMight was kind enough to send me some sandpaper to try out to show you these steps, and they also sent me their vacuum system. This is pretty cool. You can turn it on to auto, and it works through this, vacuums all your dust up, and keeps a much nicer working environment. If you're someone that do it yourself at home, keep your garage a lot cleaner. So pretty excited to try this and show you the steps to take. Now their sandpaper is ceramic film, and it's like 3M Cubitron 2, and that just basically means what this is made out of. Of course, ceramic is going to last longer than a lot of your other products. On the vacuum system, it just takes 110, and then you also have to hook it up to compressed air from your compressor to run the DA sander. And this DA sander also has vacuum holes in it, and so does the paper, so all the dust will go through this paper into this hose and into here, which keeps a lot cleaner working environment. Now before you start, and I don't know how well you can see this dent here, but before you start you want to wash it with soap and water, which I've already done, and then you want to go over it with some wax and grease remover. Not only does this clean all the contaminants, the silicones, the waxes and things like that off, but this is also going to get the contaminants off there so it doesn't load your sandpaper. And that's going to allow your sandpaper to last longer, so you use less sandpaper by cleaning the surface, and you won't have those problems in the paint booth. So I've got some wax and grease remover. I'm going to wipe it down. And I've just got an area masked off here, to keep these areas clean and protect them for now. This is the area I'm going to be working on. There are a few other little dents in here, but I'm not wanting to confuse you. I'm just wanting to show you one dent, the steps to take, how to remove the paint, how to sand the body filler, and how to feather edge and get it ready for prime and block. Now I don't know how well you can see this on video, but the dent's about that big right there. And in the past we used to use a lot of grinders, but this metal's thin, and you want to eliminate the amount of, sometimes there is, you may have to use a grinder to remove the stud nail or to get that area that you can't get to, but for the most part use your DA sander, and we're going to use 80 grit. And in order to get the body filler, we don't want to apply that on top of the paint. We're going to go 2 or 3 inches past that. So right in here is going to be 80 grit. So I'll write 80 right there. So this is the ceramic 80 grit right here, and I know you can find some of these on Amazon. The vacuum system, it's brand new. They sent me one to try, and if you're interested in that, I'll put the company's information down in the description below, and you can call them directly. Some of this, I don't know if the ceramic paper's on Amazon yet, but you can find some of SunMight's products there. But I'm going to start out with the 80 just to remove this. And if possible, I don't want to make a big area. I want to keep my paint area small, in case I should want to blend within this panel. So to put this on, it uses Velcro, and you just set it on there, and it sticks. And you can take these off and on, reuse them. But now I'm just going to try to sand and stay within this area right here. Now that automatically turns on and off whenever you press the DA, but I want to stop for a second and show you where that dent's at. That's a little harder to get at, so I'm going to tilt this a little bit to get in there. So there's still just a little spot in the center, and I'm just going to take that off and use this by hand to remove that. So now the dent's about in this area, it's just a small ding, and then I've also got this metal out here, so when I apply the body filler I won't be getting it on the top. And this is already starting to feather edge with the 80, which we're going to go over that with a different grade here in a little bit, a little different grit. So now I'm going to mix up some body filler and go ahead and put on there. But first I'm going to blow that off with some compressed air so that I have a nice clean surface to apply the body filler. Okay, I've got some body filler mixed up, and this is not going to take much. It's not a very big dent. And I'm going to apply it on here. I'm going to try to stay within this metal area. So I want to put a tight coat first, meaning you want to push down tight, push down hard, and then I'm going to come back with a fill coat, which I allow a little bit more of it to fill the damaged area. So I've got some right there. I'm going to go ahead and get that off. So I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to use the DA sander with some 80 to kind of stay in this area just to level it a little bit, and then I'm going to go over it with some 180 to minimize the 80 grit scratches. Okay, I've allowed that to harden up, and I'm going to just get this same piece of 80 grit that I was using and put it back on the sander. And what I'm going to do with the 80 grit, I'm just going to barely level this. You don't want to sand too much off, but I'm just going to kind of get some of the highs off, and then I'll switch to 180. Again, I don't want to go way out here to my 80 grit. I'm going to keep it right within this repair area. Okay, I left that a little bit high because I'm going to finish that off with some 180, and I'm going to switch papers and then finish sanding it out with that. Before I do though, I'm also going to put some guide coat on there so that I know all the 80 grit scratches have been removed. And you could block sand that by hand, but keep in mind you're going to have some straight line scratches out here. You want to be sure and remove those while we're feather edging and getting this ready for prime. So we'll put some guide coat. And guide coat's just a tool to help you identify highs and lows if there's any 80 grit scratches left. Now you can still save this 80 grit, it's still got some life in it, but I'm going to take it off. I'm going to switch it off with this 180. That's what's nice about this Velcro is you can reuse it very easy. Okay, now I want to, my 80's all around in here, so I want to go out just a little bit bigger area for my prime area. Turn that down a little bit. Okay, so I've got all the guide coat off, and I've layered this, feather edged it. What that means is each layer of paint, you can see the layers. You want at least an 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch of each layer, so you can see the different layers here. That way you won't see that when you paint it. I'm going to do one more step because we're probably going to prime a little bit bigger area. You don't want any of your primer getting on unsanded paint. So we're going to sand that with some 320. So again, don't throw this sandpaper away. Very reusable. Take it off, save it, and now I'm going to switch to 320 and go just a little bit bigger here. Okay, now you can see this whole area right here has 320, so we're safe if we get primer anywhere in this area. So when we get it to the booth, clean it off, get it in the booth, you know, we can mask that area where we don't get any primer over sanded paint. So 80 grit for you to remove paint and to start sanding your body filler just to level it. 180 to finish that up and get it ready for prime and do your feather edge, and then 320 anywhere primer is going to be applied. So the next step is clean it, wax and grease remover, mask it off, you know, get it in the booth, mask it off, prime this area with the recommended amount of coats, and then we can block sand that, and then it'll be ready for paint. So that is the steps it takes to remove the paint, apply body filler, sand your body filler, feather edge, and get ready for prime and block. And once you're done with that, it's ready to paint. If you like this video, be sure and give us a thumbs up, give us a like. If you haven't subscribed, be sure and do so. Thanks for watching, take care, and we'll see you in the next video.